I never really met any agent, a handful of a couple, the folks that didn't really last, but I never met anybody that was successful at what we did that came across as a salesman ever to me.
Right.
The best at our business are the folks that just simply are helping. Some view it as a path to independence, some maybe a calling, in this world. But for me, I've always just approached it as I'm going to educate. If we end up recommending something that I personally can't write for you, but it's going to be best for you and your family, that's the direction I'll point you in.
I figured we kind of go through like your transition, because I get that question a lot from people, and
Yes.
I think it would be good too for them to hear somebody else talk about it other than me. You know what I mean? Because we kind of
Sure.
came from the same background. So, Patrick, going from the captive model to the independent broker model, what do you think was the biggest positive and also biggest negative as you made that transition?
To me, the overall ownership of my own company, my own book of business, the fact that it's mine, I've built it. That to me is probably the biggest advantage that I've found with going in completely independent. There's been a number of challenges. Health Markets did a great job of setting us up with structure. We had a lot of technology. We had the CRM system. We had great marketing tools and, lead dollars and such. A lot of that was tricky to figure out on our own. So getting things to be about as close as possible to where we were operating within that Health Markets realm was probably the toughest. But once we were able to lock down CRM and a different, host of technology suites to be able to operate just as quickly as we did then, that was our biggest, I think, struggle right out of the gate.
How long did it take you to become comfortable with those new systems that you had put in place?
Probably 6 months.
Yeah.
Really, the CRM being the biggest, just getting it set up to operate and flow. Simple things that we didn't really even think of: birthday card, emails, a host of things, reminders that someone's turning 65, address changes, things like that. A lot of it was very streamlined and done for us. So now the manual inputs are there, again, just little speed bumps along the way, but probably it was a good 6 months for us to get it up and running.
And you guys are using Agency Block, right?
We are, yes.
Got it. And then do you integrate somebody for your mailers like Mailbox Power or Thanks.io? Do you have a favorite?
That's actually a good question. So my wife, and then we hired a social media director who is also a friend of my wife's. She handles a lot of those direct to email consumers. Most of them are just set up through our Gmail account. I can double check with her and get back with you.
Yeah.
But that is one thing I missed, was the email sender that we use.
Yeah, that's cool. So is there a specific line of business that you guys are focusing on now at your agency?
So we're still pretty much doing the same three that I was doing at Health Markets, primarily Medicare. I would say about 75% of our business right now is Medicare. The remainder is individual health accounts. We split those between ACA and other non-ACA policies. And then we do a very, very, very bit of small group insurance.
Yeah. And you guys added PNC?
We tried. What we found is we're not nearly as good at it as we thought we were going to be. It's a whole different ball game, a lot of different ins and outs. It was good training, but at the time that it was occurring, we thought we would be able to devote enough time and energy and then eventually grow to where we could hire somebody to manage that part. Just became overly complicated. So we cut ties with that.
Was a lot more service oriented?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, as you've been going through this process, or even as you got started in the insurance business, I mean, what do you think was the biggest flop you had, or the biggest, failure you've had as a business owner?
With Health Markets, my consistent struggle was consistency. When I got started back in 2012, I was faced with a situation kind of unique. I resigned from teaching, and then that year I resigned, about 6 months later, I was getting married and I had a wedding to pay for. So I did a lot of interviewing that summer, a lot of different job positions, this, that, sales, marketing, communications. Nothing seemed to really be a fit or want to hire somebody with a teaching degree. So when I found health markets, I was given an opportunity to, bet on myself. 100% commission right out of the gate. And I was extremely consistent right out of the gate because I had a purpose for where that income was going to go. Once that kind of faded, then I kind of realized, okay, this is the input that you're getting with health markets is what you're going to be receiving at the end of the day. So if you want to be the number one agent in the country, here's how you got to do it. If you want to make a consistent living, here's how you want to do it. If you want to make $50,000 a year, here's how you can do it. So being able to, to stay consistent with health markets developed after about 2 years. I found a good niche of balance of ordering leads and then a stream of referrals. Once I left the agency, one of the things I will honestly say that I miss are those live transfers. They did a great job, I think, with direct-to-consumer marketing. They spent a lot of money on it. It's just something that as a small business owner, we don't have the fluidity to be able to do that. So a lot of ours is word of mouth. That being said, I was a health markets agent for almost 6 years. So having my own established book of business with my own referrals coming to me was extremely helpful. I don't know that I could have done this without having been there first.
Right. Yeah. And have you found yourself, maybe working on your business a lot more now as opposed to in it?
100%. Yeah, 100%. We've tried interviewing. We are working on a training program. We are working on developing agents. We're working on developing our own book of business. We are setting seminar schedules for us to go to. We attended an AHIP conference. You asked me 4 years ago, are you going to do that? I would have laughed at you. But we're doing more conferences with more carriers. We're branching out with other like-minded agent owners, kind of like us, that are local in the area, but also, driving distance. And we're just going to go see how they operate throughout the day. And that's given us a really good sense of, all right, here's what we excel at, here's where we struggle. So yeah, we spend a ton of time working harder at our own business than I think I ever did.
Mm-hmm. And are you guys setting up your agents as line of authority or paid direct?
Yeah, they're all LOAs, all independent operators, just like we were at health markets.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So in starting your own agency, could you, pinpoint one idea or something that really helped you guys transform and grow and take off?
Yeah, to me, the biggest thing was picking the area of business that I wanted to excel at. Growing with health markets, there was a lot that we could do. You could be a small business, you could do a ton of small group. You could do a ton of ACA. You could sell a ton of supplements. You can be a life insurance. You can write Medicare. There was a lot, and there's even more when you go independent. A lot of our FOAs, those guys do a lot of stuff, and we could have picked any number of lines that we wanted to focus on. So when I left, myself, my business partner, we decided, okay, these are the 3 areas we're going to focus on, and we're not going to do anything outside of those areas. If we do, or if it happens to come to us, we're going to refer it to people that are better at it than we are. That was kind of proven when we tried to take on property and casualty, and just to be honest with you, we failed at it. So we focus on those 3, and we really don't go outside that realm. I think if people come in and they try to take on too much, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, I think, for a lot of agents, it really just kind of boggles their mind and it's just too much. I think focusing on one thing is definitely the right way to go.
Yeah.
And do you guys, what would you say your most valuable tool is that you use, whether it's like technology, like the CRM or a marketing method that you guys have?
I've honestly found that it's nothing technology based. I think it's just being visible within our community. So we do a lot within our home area here in Ohio. We're constantly at fairs. We have a nice big storefront right off of a main drive here that we've rebranded to our agency stuff. We're constantly sending mailers out to the community. So just we're in several magazines. We sponsor a baseball team, here. So we just do a lot within the local community. We want this area to really be our primary source of referrals. We obviously work within the confines of the entire state. We're actually licensed in a couple states out of Ohio, but those are generally for folks that are moving and then refer us to people in that area as well. So our local community where our storefront is located, that was the area we really wanted to focus on growing and have that name brand recognizability.
So in addition to that, are you guys spending money on like internet leads, or do you have a preferred lead source?
We do not. At this point, we don't do any internet leads. We don't do live transfers. We took on a few, I don't know, maybe a year ago. We wanted to try and maybe beef up our fourth quarter open enrollment schedule a little bit. So we used next gen leads. Pricey, good. Recommend them for new agents that don't have much of a book of business. But for myself, my business partner, we just found that we can put our dollars elsewhere and have a better return. So we're not doing any leads at this point at all.
Yeah, you've been in the business long enough where your phone just rings.
Correct.
So
Yeah, same with you.
yeah. So do you have, I guess, a preferred tool or vendor for like, I know we talked about Agency Block for your CRM, but like your accounting system and paying commissions to agents?
Yeah, my wife again has been an absolute rock for our agency. She was an accountant for Goodyear for a long time. She's worked with a couple other companies, but she handles all of that. And I want to say just using QuickBooks for most of our stuff. We use a payroll company. We actually just switched to Ahola, which I called Aloha for like 6 months, and then somebody told me I was wrong. I felt real dumb. But it was a guy I played football with. He came in, and you can't miss this guy. He's 6'3", probably 300 pounds, and he's got that booming wrestling coach voice. So when he's in the building. So I got an earful when I called it Aloha. But we use Ahola for our processing. She's handled all of that. Having the pieces, again, coming from a large corporate agency, they had that structure in place. And we kind of figured it out as we went along. But making sure that you're set up to kind of mirror a model that works. It's the same thing as an agent, right? Like when you were brand new, I'm sure you probably just didn't go, okay, let me reinvent the wheels here. These guys are really good at health insurance, but I'm going to do it this way.
Right.
I didn't do that. I followed guys like you, to be honest with you. A lot of the guys at the top of our chart, I'm like, all right, what are they doing that's going to make them good? And the same thing applied to the agency. There's going to be pluses and minuses of every corporate organization, but I think Health Markets did a great job of having a structure put in place. So we try to do that same thing right away. Having those tools in place before you start your own company like this was tremendous. So we didn't wait. We did it right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I kind of tell agents, like, you're going to see a difference in the spread that's anywhere from like 20 to 40%.
Yeah.
But knowing what's the best path for somebody, whether it's to be independent or LOA, you kind of have to ask yourself the questions like you're saying, can I do this? Am I the type of person that could figure some of this stuff out?
Yeah.
And it's not that the LOA path, there's nothing wrong with it, right? It's just what's best for you as the individual. It's unfortunately, you can't really have both, because a lot of agents want both, and it doesn't really work that way.
And we've set it up too where it's nice if we have a couple independent agents, obviously, and if at that point, if they want to go their own path, if they want to go their own route, we're not committed to taking their stuff with it. We're supportive. We want you to go your own direction. My business partner and I, we have built the agency and the business to where, we can pretty much run it on cruise control for the next 10, 15 years, and then who knows, but we're not dependent on those folks for our success. It's great to watch them grow, and, it's great to help them out along the way. If they end up going their own separate path, we're there for it as well. But it's, I think we're not dependent on those agents.
One thing that was always kind of missing for me in that captive model was the transparency. And I think if you're transparent and upfront with people and say, hey, look, this is how it works. This is a path to independence. And
Yeah.
I feel like they'll continue to work with you as long as you're upfront and honest. So that's our biggest goal. It's just transparency. So what do you think some of the good choices that you guys or that maybe you've made in your personal life that's kind of helped make you who you are, somebody that could run a business?
Um, well, it's funny. I still to this day, I think, my degree that I got in education is hanging on my wall. It is completely useless. I'm obviously not teaching, but a lot of what I got out of that, I still use to this day. The ability to be able to educate somebody on a policy and not sell on a policy, the ability to describe, give recommendations. I mean, that's what makes us good at what we do. Is I never really met any agent, a handful of a couple, the folks that didn't really last, but I never met anybody that was successful at what we did that came across as a salesman ever to me.
Right.
Um, the best at our business are the folks that just simply are helping. Some view it as a path to independence, some maybe a calling, uh, in this world. But for me, I've always just approached it as I'm going to educate. If we end up recommending something that I personally can't write for you, but it's going to be best for you and your family, that's the direction I'll point you in. And we've always told our folks that way. So you had mentioned transparency. We're the same way with our clients. We will try and help you. If I do sign you up, we'll receive a commission from the carrier. But if we don't, we're going to at least point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that came from my background in teaching. A lot of it is, my support from my family. Um, we're my wife and I, both Christians. We both believe in a higher calling. We both work extremely hard because we know that this is kind of a path to, our kids having the things that they want in life.
Right.
We want to teach them that, hey, we didn't just get handed this. We built this from the ground up. You guys can do the same thing. So I think a lot of that is what drives us every single day, especially those days that you don't want to come to the office. A lot of that is really, projected not only in how our company's operated, but how we then interact with clients. Folks are like, hey, if I sign up with you guys, are you just going to, then leave? Or are you going to be out of business in a couple of years? And I always point to the kids' picture. I'm like, I have till college, to get them through and keep working hard to make sure that they can do the things they want to do. And then I have the time and the freedom to support them in whatever it is they want to do. So we're here for a while,
How many
people appreciate it.
how many clients do you guys currently have?
I would say our best, I tried running some numbers for you. I'd say my best estimate right now is about 1,200 between myself and my partner. And then we have maybe an additional 300 to 400 with our downline agents.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think has given you the most sense of satisfaction or accomplishment so far in the insurance business, just doing this?
Yeah, I've got them still hung on my walls. I always loved the award plaques and stuff. I've liked those since I was a kid. I know it's cheesy, but that recognition that, hey, your hard work is not going unnoticed, so we know this is a cheap plastic trophy that you can make yourself. Here it is. Congratulations. I liked it. I again, call me corny, whatever. I liked walking up on stage. And then I realized, hey, going independent, we're not going to have that. So how do we still consistently stay motivated? We look for a lot of things like within our local networking groups. There's a kind of a business award in our county. It's called the Best of the Best that we've been featured in. And that kind of recognition as well, I think, has replaced the awards and the trips and such.
Mm-hmm.
I still like working for a purpose. I don't need the recognition, but sometimes it's nice to keep it going. So,
Yeah, I think everybody likes that.
Yeah, of course.
Whether they admit it or not, be recognized by your peers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we like that recognition, especially within our community. So knowing that the people that we are helping are voting for us for that, that's a big confidence boost.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have a morning or daily routine?
Yeah, I'm an early morning guy. I know you're a big CrossFit guy. you guys are wild animals to me. That's a physical struggle I don't know I'll ever combat with, but I'm a morning guy. I get up about 4:30, get myself into the gym. And right now I've got a good mix of, and I don't know if you know this, I started training jujitsu about 2.5 years ago.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
that's been a ton of fun. So there's some morning classes there. Get to the gym and work on, strength training, cardio, conditioning, all that good stuff. But I'm always morning. I want to be done and back by the time my kids are packing up and getting ready to get on the bus. Wish them adieu, and then I'm usually at the office probably no later than 9:30. Get everything I can done, during the day. Get home by 4 so I can see them get off the bus. I'm not, I'm sure there are guys that do it, the 10, 12-hour days. I just don't feel like if I can't get done what I need to get done in that time frame, that 9 to 4 time frame, I will move it to the next day. I'll get it done over the weekend, whatever I need to do. But I'm not working 12, 14-hour days. Open enrollment maybe an exception to that, but we've really structured it to the point where I don't have to be at the office that long to be able to get everything I need to get done. So I like having the freedom. I like seeing my kids both to and from school, the weekends with baseball and gymnastics and all kinds of stuff. That is, to me, the purpose of this type of business, is to have that flexibility of my schedule to be able to be in attendance at those events. Sundays with church, there's no bending those rules for me. So I will work when I'm scheduled on my calendar to work. I got that from you. Your calendar, you might have come on with us maybe 4 or 5 years ago and showed us your calendar. And I was like, dude's got every hour of the day blocked for what is going to be done. And I've stuck to that pretty religiously.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just gonna say I'm the same way because like 5:30 to 7 is I'm with my kids and I don't really take appointments or phone calls. And
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I made that mistake originally. Just burning the candle at both ends and working like 80 to 90 hours a week.
Absolutely.
And then I woke up one day, I didn't have any friends anymore. So I'm like, well, this is kind of pointless,
Yep.
you know.
You
Um,
remember like original open enrollment with ACA stuff back 2014, and they kept extending it month after month. And this was before I had a storefront. I was driving hours upon hours in my car every day, starting at 8 in the morning. Sometimes I get home at like midnight. We did that for 6 months, and it was great. It was a lucrative time, I think, for everybody. But I swore at that point to never do that again.
no, you can't keep that kind of pace for years. I
No.
mean, it's just, I mean, so do you still see anybody like in person other than people coming to your office? Or do you primarily do it, people come to your office and you do it over the phone?
Yeah. Obviously, last 2 years, 18 months have been a little odd. So we've really gotten good with Zoom conferencing and handling everything electronically. Very rarely am I still going out in the field, but I will go from time to time, especially on those Medicare appointments. I'll go where that's needed.
Hmm.
For the most part, pretty much everybody's comfortable either coming to the office. We're very centrally located, which is good. A lot of easy highway access,
Hmm.
and a lot of over the phone or Zoom stuff. So yeah, I'm not in the car anymore.
Yeah, I was surprised how many people actually had an aptitude for Zoom and
Mhm.
preferred that. And so now it's a lot of people still want to do that, and I'm kind of the same way. I see
Yeah.
people here over the phone. So what do you see changing in this industry, or what's coming up for you guys?
Um, I'm hoping, hopefully not a lot, at least with Medicare. Uh, we got a good thing going with our Medicare products. Um, we have a new carrier that we just worked on to get introduced. Some of our local carriers have done some pretty big rate increases with MedSup, so we're trying to find something as an alternative for our folks. Having some good luck there. I love where the Advantage plans are headed. I feel like they get better every single year. We're adding a little bit more in terms of life insurance, disability, and we're also, surprisingly, we don't look for it, but we are finding ourselves getting referred to a number of small businesses,
Hmm.
somewhere in the range of 6 to 20 employees that we're able to handle. So we had to find a couple of niche carriers for that market, We've done pretty well with that. Seems to be like a pretty good area of growth, especially considering, ACA plans getting more expensive. I'd love to see some of these United Healthcare. I don't know if you're still writing a bunch of short term. We do a lot of those. Love to see those tri-term plans eventually in Ohio. We have a couple that we use in Tennessee. I like product expansion, within the realm of the carriers that we're used to and we're good at and we know are consistent for our folks. So we continue to add a lot of that stuff, but we're really not. I'm not adding 150 carriers just to have every single one.
Right.
We'll pick the ones that we really want to focus on. We have history with, we know are good, and if that changes, we'll add something different.
Mm-hmm. So what's your guys' long-term goal for your agency? Like, where do you guys see yourself in 10 years?
10 years, my hope is to sell our agency to something a little bit, a little bit bigger than what we could hope to be. If I need to stay on, then maybe as an employee for a year or two, help with the transition, I'm okay with that. But my partner and I agree, we're looking at about a 10-year window from right now to sell our agency.
Mm-hmm. So what would you tell somebody that's brand new, either somebody that's brand new in the insurance business that's like just getting started, or somebody that's been in the business that it just hasn't clicked for them yet? They're still trying to find their way.
It's funny. I got this from Brett. He was like one of the first guys that I called when I started with the company. Asked him the same question, and he's everybody that has ever been any good at anything, I feel like will tell you the same thing. And I'll save the cuss word, but he just said, "Don't effing quit."
Yeah.
I got that from pretty much everybody. Stay consistent in your routines. Understand that, the first couple of months, if not the first couple of years, will be the worst in the insurance business as this thing builds. But once it does, it becomes a consistent stream of steady and more enjoyable clients to work with. At the very beginning, obviously we hammer the phones, we're working leads, we're meeting with folks that, may not have the finances in place or maybe eligible for Medicaid, or just in the long term might only need us for a couple of months. Whereas now at this point, I've had relationships with clients for years and they've referred their family members. We've helped their kids that were, 18 at the time, now are 26, get their own policy. We're helping folks that we started when they were 55, now going to Medicare at 65. So the long-term relationships we built, those will come. But you've got to stay consistent in your process. You got to stay consistent in the belief that if you continue to call, you will eventually start to meet the right group of folks. And then you've got to make yourself known. You've got to get into referral groups. You've got to get into networking groups. You have to meet people that are looking for your business. The types of folks that I meet with all the time are the property and casualty guys. Our State Farm guys in the area have sent us a ton of business. Those are people that I want to introduce myself to. So I will go to their networking events. We will host them here. We'll do socials. Get yourself well known, advertise, do what it takes to have the phone ring in your direction versus the other way around. And then once you're doing that, don't effing quit. Just keep going and it will continue to build.
Mm-hmm. Is there one thing that you maybe draw inspiration from or would recommend to our listeners or other agents, like whether it's a book or a course that maybe you've done?
I haven't really read a ton of books recently. I mean, Atomic Habits is one that I thought of when I read it, through this and kind of prepped. But I think that can apply to anywhere. If you've got to have those same core fundamentals that you approach everything in life with and staying consistent. So Atomic Habits came to mind, but I was fortunate when I started with the company that a lot of the guys who were the best of the best, the top 10 with our company, they were extremely approachable. So I went and I tried to meet every single one of them and ask kind of the same questions that we're doing now. Hey, what got you to here? Obviously you didn't start there. How'd you get, what are some tips that you can trade? So anybody starting out in their own fields, I mean, go meet guys that have had businesses for a while. It could be a plumber who's been in business for 30 years. Just ask, what are some of the things that you've done over the years to stay consistent? And then emulate that. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Keep doing what's worked for folks for a long time, and it's going to work for you.
Yeah, no, it's great advice, man. Hey, listen, thanks for doing this, buddy. Thanks for coming on. I mean,
Absolutely. My pleasure.
yeah, man, I always enjoy listening to other people's perspective. And one thing that's always interesting is there's no secrets, right? Because it's the same
Right.
message, right? There's no tricks or the golden bullet, as they say.
Right. All
Uh,
of this stuff I've probably regurgitated 10, 15 times from other people who have told me,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you being one of those guys. So
yeah,
yeah, I
same
appreciate
here.
it. And, happy to jump on.
Awesome. Thanks, pal. So,